Hello and welcome to this fifth and final episode in my series addressing spiritual sexuality for Christians. As I seek to bring things to a close in this episode, we are coming full circle. I originally introduced the concept of spiritual sexuality, which for me is simply remembering God's presence as we express ourselves sexually. It is practicing the presence of God during sex. It doesn't require a lot of mental effort and striving. It doesn't require these highly esoteric practices. It simply requires us to remember that in Him we live and move and have our being. And this remains true even as we express ourselves sexually. But how do we develop this? Proposing 3 stages of development, moving from body-centered to person-centered to now the spirit-centered level of awareness. Here at this level of awareness, all the previous stages are still included. And so with spiritual awareness, we're still very much embodied beings. We're still very much relational beings. We're now just aware of God's presence in the midst of that. And 2 challenges I see as individuals struggle to move in this direction. One is the false dichotomy, the false split between the physical and the spiritual. As one of my research participants commented that he sees sex as a base human practice that is not pure or clean enough for God to be involved. And yet the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. And so in the incarnation of Christ, Christ took on a humanity. He took on this bodily existence. But in taking on our humanity and taking on flesh, as He slept and ate, sweated and bled, He still maintained this communion, this union with God, which is what I'm suggesting here in spiritual sexuality. It's the incarnation of our sexuality. Even as we express ourselves physically, at relationally, we can still maintain that union with God. That union with God is not separate and apart from these physical and relational experiences. The second challenge I see is individuals believing that the spiritual awareness requires some strenuous thought or efforts to achieve. For them, it's something to do. And they see it almost like trying to recite the multiplication tables while having sex. What I'm suggesting is that this awareness is less about doing anything in particular and more about being, remembering who we are and remembering that we abide in a divine presence. And so as such, our awareness may shift from episode to episode and even within the same episode. And so some expressions may be more spiritual. Some episodes may be more physical. Some may be more relational. What we've attained at this level of awareness is a freedom to appreciate it all. And so we're less attached to viewing sex as simply what we can get out of it physically, or even what we can get out of it relationally. At this level of awareness, we're more aware of what God is up to and our ability to reflect His divine love, His truth, His goodness, His beauty. And so when we can remember this, sex is always more than just sex. And so even at a primary physical expression, the after effect of that is still more than just sex. And so we might still experience a deep connection, an intense union, healing, transformation, gratefulness. These might still be part of our experience at this level of awareness, even when this particular episode is more physical or more relational. Because we're remembering that more exists.